so the rev count's just through the roof.
Okay, hello, yes, I'm back on. Sorry about that, but it seems that every week the live stream is interrupted by something a bit shonky. So, just picking up where we left off, yes, we were talking about speed stick. We've got a 29er, the Pacific Sport with 19.52. How was that for you, Ollie?
Yeah, it was fun. It wasn't very windy though.
Wasn't very windy. Then we've got Feeds Ravens and Gerhard with 20.87 on the Tiger. Then you may have seen this video earlier on today on the FX1, that was 21.59 there. And then an absolute rip snorter on a Pacific for Jacobo and Demos, the half Greek, half Spanish team, 22.92. That is cooking the goose. And then the big news from today is we've got a 23, hi Kush, 23.44. Can anybody guess what it's on? It was Marco on a laser. Yeah, unbelievable. And then we've got a couple of 16s at the top, another 23.44 for Sam and Peter on a Hobie 16, and then somebody might have just nipped in there, 23.53 for, yeah, of course, on a 16. That is what happens if you talk about this stuff for long enough, that you can bang in some big speeds. So there we go. That's the speed stick as it stands one day in, and what a ridiculously strong start. And we are expecting some more big wind tomorrow, so more big speeds. I'll be updating this speed stick leaderboard on a daily basis. I'll be putting it up on starting from tomorrow, when the leaderboard should be filled up, but I'll be putting it on the Total Joyrider Facebook page, just the leaderboard in case you're interested. I did try to do a live video on Instagram yesterday, but for some reason there was no sound, so who knows why that is. Hi Russell, yeah man, it is pretty popular, the global speed stick as well. I think there's like 140 entries on there now. If you've sent me a speed to get added to the global leaderboard, I'm just updating it once a week now, which will be every Friday. Hi Sean, nice to have you with us as always. Yeah, so the global leaderboard and the Hobie 16 leaderboards will be updated every Friday, but we have of course got this special event going on here for the month of September, that being the September speed stick. Hi Rodrigo, nice to have you with us. Oh yeah. So I think what else could possibly be big news from Vasiliki just now? There can't be anything. It's all about the speed stick. Yesterday we probably had about 30 knots of wind. Russell's coming in with a question. Can you briefly cover your strategy on maximum speed? This is a great question. Okay, yes we can. All right, so my strategy on going as fast as possible is, of course, you're going to start off double trapezing. That is essential, and get really locked in at the back of the boat. So get in a really secure position at the back of the boat. On a 16, I'm putting my back foot under right up against the rudder stock at the back, and then my front foot on the corner of the casting. Let's just go and demonstrate that. Russell's just asked possibly my favourite question of all time, so we are going to go into a little bit of detail here, as you may expect. All right, yeah, I'm just going to find a Hobie 16. I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. Okay, flipping her around. All right, so here we go. Here is the catamaran of which we spoke. So here's the back of the boat. So we want to get in a really secure position at the back of the boat. So back foot is going, when the rudder's down, there'll be a bit more space there. Back foot is going underneath the rudder stock right at the back. Incidentally, these shoes are dudes very comfortable when you're not going in the water. And the front foot is on the corner there, where with a good pair of shoes on, although this is like polished cast aluminium, you get a fair bit of grip off there if you've got the right shoes on. So in that position, you could be really, really secure. And then of course the crew as far back as possible. That is phase one. All right, I'm going back to my shady spot for phase two. So the next thing you need to do to go as fast as possible is to get the boat going as far downwind as possible with the hull in the air. So starting on a beam reach would be a normal place to start. And then if you really want to go as fast as possible, what we're looking at is when you get a gust, or when you see, this is my strategy anyway, when I see the biggest bit of wind coming, I'll bear away and sheet out a bit as I bear away, but only so much that the hull stays out of the water. If you bear off so much that the hull comes back down into the water, you've gone a bit too far and you might have to bring it up again. Of course, reducing the amount of steering is going to help as well. The jib traveller should be set all the way out, and the jib should just be played to the telltales unless you are really, really overpowered, in which case have the jib flapping slightly. And then the main traveller would just be set to your crew weight and wind strength so that you can get the main sheet block to block at the times when you're sheeting in the most. And then, so what we're doing is we're turning the boat downwind, easing a bit of main sheet. As soon as you're downwind, pull the main sheet in, watching the bows. If the bows start going down too much, then you've pulled the main sheet in too much. So it really is a case of playing a lot of main sheet. But then once you get it in the sweet spot, shower down the trousers. It's good job you can't see that. Once you've got it in the sweet spot, the trick is to do as little as possible, because any movements to the sails or the steering is going to slow you down a bit. But it really is a case of beam reach. When the hull lifts, you can transfer that energy that is getting the hull to lift from hull lifting to more boat speed by turning more downwind. There we go. That is it in a nutshell. I'll do another video on going fast in the next couple of days, so that we can see what we can get there. Flat water is, of course, very nice, but I think if you're sailing in open sea and you've got a big rolling swell, that swell could get you an extra half a knot, maybe an extra knot, or maybe even more, I don't know. But on the flat water, lifting the hull, bearing away, sheeting out as you bear away so you don't stick the nose in, and then once you're there, sheeting in again, and then there you go. That is how you go fast. The more you do it, the more used you get to the feeling that you should be feeling, so you know more how to steer and how much to sheet in and out. But playing the main sheet is absolutely critical. The more you play the main sheet, the less chance you've got of capsizing. Okay. All right, I'm just going to go for Russell's next question now, just because it's on the same topic. Two sail reaching, jib mostly off, but it was very gusty, full spill, pitch pole, 3 times. Yeah, it's, if you're standing at the back and your crew is as far back as they can possibly go, and you're playing the main sheet, as long as you're playing the main sheet enough and not doing any crazy steering, you should be able to avoid the pitch pole. This is on a 16, but if you're constantly having to sheet out more main sheet to stop the bows from going in, then you probably need to let the traveller out a bit more, so that then you can sail with a slightly tighter main sheet. A tighter main sheet is going to give you more control in the really high winds. Although a looser main sheet it'll be like some sort of wild animal that you're trying to tame, but it'd be very quick. But let the main sheet out more. Let the traveller out more so you can have a tighter main sheet. That will give you more control, and hopefully that should mean you don't have to stick the nose in. If you are sailing with the traveller all the way out and you're finding your main sheet is a little bit short, you can always add an extra traveller line, which will give you a bit more rope so that you can have a bit more to play with there. But definitely stand at the back. Okay, but thanks for the questions there, Russell. It's nice to start off with something relating to what we're talking about. Hi, Mark. Nice to have you on board. Hello, Herbert. Fastest Hobie 15. Okay, coming up, I feel the Hobie 15 challenge for the September speed stick is almost upon us, because the forecast for tomorrow and Friday, and I'm not sure about Saturday, but it is huge. We should be hitting 30 knots of wind again tomorrow. So the trick here is to get out early enough so the sea is still fairly flat before it's had a chance to get choppy with the passage of time and wind. Nice, love it. Okay, Robin, good morning from Merritt Island, Florida. Nice to have you on board. And then we've got Donovan from Alberta, Canada. Quick question. What are the common shroud and forestay holes used on the Hobie 14 for proper mast rake? Okay, this is, unfortunately, I can't answer this with any sort of commitment to the answer being correct. Because on our Hobie 14 here, which is over there, our shrouds are on 6 from the top, and the forestay is on 5 from the top. But the rigging on our 14 here is not standard Hobie Cat rigging. This is rigging we've made ourselves. So unfortunately, I really couldn't answer that. Perhaps if there's any Hobie 14 sailors tuned in at the moment, perhaps you can ping in with an answer to how you set your 14 up, and for different wind conditions, different crew weights. Yeah, sorry, I can't answer that with any sort of with anything. But thanks for the question, Donovan. Okay, Mark. Awesome video on the FX1 speed run yesterday. Yes, it was. I think that was the first video actually where it has really shown. It looked as windy in the video as it actually was in real life, which I thought was nice. I sold my FX1 to another North Carolina sailor last week. Well, I hope they'll be having a great time with it. Such a great boat. But of course, there's so many great choices of great boats out there. And the FX1 is just one great choice of a great boat. But very good fun. All right, we've got Steve-O, another FX1 sailor, so much so that his handle on here is Steve-O FX1. Afternoon Aero Nationals. This is in the UK, of course. They had 103 boats. Check out Send It Productions on YouTube for the highlights. So if you want to see the Aero Nationals highlights from the UK, check that out on YouTube. That's the RS Aero, of course, which is the more modern equivalent of the laser. Very lightweight, about half the weight of a laser. If you didn't catch it earlier, biggest news from today on the September Speed Stick is our very own Marco, who I used to sail with in the Tiger and Tornado competitions. He hit 23.44 knots on the foiling laser. That is ridiculous. If you know of a laser that has ever gone faster, not while it's on the roof or being towed by a car, then that's impressive. But I don't know if there's ever been a faster laser. All right, Mark, why did you say the FX1 was your nemesis? What's the story? Okay, my story there is that basically there was a guy who's been coming out here for a few years, Dennis, who banged in a 24 something like 24.5 knot top speed on the FX1. So it was clear that it was possible to go fast on that boat. But of all my years going for speed runs, I haven't been able to get it above 20 knots, which has been a real frustration not to be able to do 20 knots on a boat, especially when the FX1 is a very fast looking boat. So for that reason, I describe that boat as my nemesis, just because I haven't been able to get what I would consider to be a decent speed on that, especially after I've been so badly whooped by Dennis, who is obviously a very fine sailor and he's got balls of steel. But so yesterday getting 21.59 was a very big day for me. Pleased with that. Okay, scrolling back. GHOST, that's like Ghost. Hello, Ghost. Hey, just a quick question. I'm considering trying laser next year. Do you think it's a good pick and why? Yeah, I think the laser, if you're looking for a single-handed monohull and you're not looking for anything too expensive or too complicated, like if you don't want a trapeze and a spinnaker, anything like that, then the laser has got to be, as a kind of one boat to last you many, many years, in how much it's going to keep you interested, the laser is an absolutely great choice. There's probably more lasers around the world for sale, probably, than, I don't know, I would say any other boat, but there's probably more Optimists or Sunfish or something like that. But there's a lot of used lasers out there. It's very simple. It's easy to sail, but like with a lot of the boats that are easy to sail, it will keep you interested because it's easy to sail but difficult to sail really well, as I proved in my video that I made on the laser sailing, where I've been schooled by the whole of the internet on how to pull on the kicker. So that is why the laser is a good choice. You could probably pick up a second-hand laser in seaworthy condition from about 600-700 units of currency, and then of course you could probably get one cheaper, but it might need a bit of work, maybe a new sail or something. But there's so many lasers about. You could put it on the roof of your car. It takes no time at all to set up, and they're light enough so you can handle it on the beach. Easy to bring up right from a capsize. Not very intimidating at all, especially compared to catamaran sailing, which is a lot more intimidating to the newcomer than the laser. So there's a lot of good reasons for the laser there. And compared to the plastic boats, like what I'm actually looking at here, this is the RS Zest, which is a really, really good boat for beginner sailors. But a plastic boat is always going to be a lot more heavy than a fiberglass boat. And also, these boats are designed for beginners, kids, families, that sort of thing. So, under the banner of keeping you interested for many years, perhaps not as much as the laser, because the laser, of course, has also got a very active racing scene globally, and of course it's the Olympic class. There we go. Okay. Hello, Paul. We've got bow wave Paul. Yes, it is nice weather here into September. Hot and windy. Still hot, still windy every day. I think we've this year probably, let's say, more than not more than ever, yeah, almost more than ever. The weather has been absolutely interstellar. I keep a log of the wind and the weather every day, and we've had the good wind probably since we opened at the start of July. Every day apart from 4 or 5 days, we've had these sweet conditions. So that is consistent. Nice to have you on board though there, Paul. Okay. Mean. Today I'm buying a Hobie 14. Any tips to check the quality? Oh yes, there are. Okay, let's take a stroll over to the 14, just so we can have a look at some key areas to take a look at. So, yeah, if this isn't just the 14 that this applies to, this would be any boat, but check for any, first thing, check for any softness in the hulls. Give the top of the hull a good push down, and if it moves, that is possible delamination inside the hull. So check the deck first. Then perhaps what you could do also, check this and do the same with the sides of the hulls as well, to check for any softness there. If you push it in and it makes a kind of crunching noise and it moves, that is definitely delamination in the fiberglass, which can be costly to put right. Pick up one hull, and if the whole boat moves together like this, that's good. But if you pick up one hull and the other hull stays on the floor, that could be something going on. So if that's doing that, what you could do is get your friend, hopefully everybody's got a friend, just to look at this area here where the pylon meets the hull, while the hull's being lifted up and down. If the pylon moves within the hull there, then I would say don't touch it, because that is a massive repair. And unless the boat is like, I don't know, $300 and everything else is in good shape, then yes, but otherwise that's going to cost you a fair bit to put right, unless you happen to be a fiberglass wizard. As well as that, just have a look around, look for any cracks or anything. Of course, on the keel line, the bottom of the boat, see if you can have a look under there. If you put the boat on a trolley, have a look underneath and see how bad it looks, because a lot of boats are just getting driven up the beach all the time. So that could be an area of concern as well. And then one thing you are going to have to do, if it hasn't been done recently, is replace the rigging. It's such a good idea to replace the rigging, because especially with a single-handed boat, you don't want to be out there with the mast down without a paddle or something. Another thing you could check, just underneath the mast base, just here, look under there for any cracking. That could be a big warning sign there. So just strolling back to my nice shady spot. Here's some Hobie 15s ready to take on the speed challenge. I think one of these 15s we have actually got fitted, don't tell anyone, with the White Knight rudder blades. Yeah, this bad boy. These rudder blades have got to be about 2 knots quicker than the Lexan rudder blades, which bend a lot. So the fast rudder blades, essential for the big speed. All right, so there we go. Yeah, but good luck with that 14. Hope she's a winner, and you get hold of that bad boy. All right, scrolling back. Okay, then we've got Davinci 04. Is the 49er hard to sail? In a nutshell, yes. It's got a very large sail area for the size of the boat, and the trick shot with the 49er is keeping the mast above the hull. Soon as the mast isn't above the hull, you lose control of the steering, and the boat is certainly going to want to capsize. Yeah, so in a nutshell, yes, it is hard to sail. If what it does is a lot like what the International 14 does and other similar boats, and it's a wind speed multiplier. So if you've got 10 knots of wind, on the 49er it'll feel like 25 knots of wind, because it's so overpowered. That's what it does. So in very light wind, it's a good way of getting out, getting double trapezing without it being so windy. But as soon as the wind gets up, it does become difficult, more difficult. Here's Johnny. Hi Johnny, nice to have you on board. Like the 14 mast video, it was actually Johnny's dad who gave me the tips about the Hobie 14 mast up and down technique. Perhaps Johnny, if your dad's in the room, you could just shout to him what settings he used to put on his 14 when he was racing, what holes he'd put the shrouds and the forestay on, so then we can answer that question from before. Nice to have you on board though. All right, Robin has got a Hobie 16 in pieces. Do you have a video on how to set up the jib sheet and traveller lines? Not a video as such, how to set it all up, but I'll put it on the list. We'll get that one done. But it depends on the age of the boat as well, because over the ages, the jib system on the 16 has changed and evolved slightly. And it also depends on where you are. If it's an American Hobie 16, it will be slightly different to the European ones. So if you do get stuck with your jib system, of course you can send me some pictures and I will investigate what is going on there with your jib system. But another one. Mark asks, what action cam do you use? Have you considered the GoPro Max with the auto horizon feature? No, I haven't really considered it because it's so expensive. I just bought a new, with the help of everybody who's been supporting the channel through PayPal donations and Patreon, I just bought a new GoPro Hero 8, which was of course reassuringly expensive and seems very good. But the Max, I think, is another 200 units of currency on top of what the 8 costs, and that seemed a little bit juicy for me. But I'd love to try one. I'd love to just borrow one from someone and see if it is worth the money and what the results would be. I don't want to see other people's videos. I want to go and make my own video with the camera and see what I can get out of it, and then I'd consider it. But until then, I'm very happy with the cameras that I'm using. And if you did watch the FX1 video from earlier, there was a lot of wind noise, but that's because I had the Session, which is the small cheap one, on my head, and I had the 8 on the boom, and the 8 has got kind of built-in wind, some sort of no wind noise technology built in, so the sound from the 8 was actually really good, but of course it wasn't on my head, so you couldn't hear the commentary. So yeah, I made a bit of a mistake there, but I was just a bit worried because it was really windy about banging that camera on the boom or something like that when it's brand new, and I didn't want to kill it. There we go. All right, scrolling back. Auto horizon leveling. All right, Hunter, thanks so much for the recommendation of the Magic Marine Smart Harness. Yes, yeah, the Magic Marine Smart Harness, I believe, is all that you need in a trapeze harness, unless you've got back problems or some sort of problems that mean you need a bit more support. But yeah, the Smart Harness is actually the cheapest harness in the Magic Marine range, and it's what I've used for the last 10 years at least, and I've been very happy with it. Never really interested to get anything more expensive or fancy. Of course, if any trapeze harness manufacturers want to sell me trapeze harnesses to review, I'd be happy to do so, but I'll be painfully honest with these reviews if the trapeze harness is in any way painful. Yeah, there you go. All right, here we go, scrolling back. All right, we've got Top Cat K2. Would be interested in video covering regatta start sequence. Will you consider doing some? How to approach starting line and keep, but yes, and yes. It is on the list already. There's others who have requested similar videos. It's just to be honest, it's just finding the time to make all these. But you may be thinking, yeah, but you went out on an FX1 yesterday, didn't you, Governor? Yes, I did, but that's because that was really quick and easy to do. All I had to do is go and jump on a boat which was already ready, put a camera on my head, one on the boom, and then come back in, quick edit, done. But I'm very keen to do this race start type video, like holding your position, all that kind of thing. So as soon as I get the window of opportunity, I will do that. But thanks for the recommendation. Everything that is asked, all the video recommendations that I get, they do go on a list. And every day I look at the list and I look at what is it practical for me to make given the amount of time that I have available and what the wind's doing and how busy we are. Okay, we've got is 8 Sev. Hello, is $9,000 a good price for a 2-year-old Hobie 16? I think if that 16 is in really good shape, then I'd say yes. I think I'm just going to throw it out there, yes, especially if it comes with a trolley and a trailer, maybe a cover, then yes, definitely that is a good price. If it's looking a little bit tatty, or it's just been left on a beach somewhere exposed to the elements, then perhaps it's a little bit pricey. But I think for a 2-year-old boat, $9,000 sounds good. Sounds good to me, because I'd expect to pay probably $5,000 for a maybe even a 10-year-old boat these days. So yeah, I think it's good if it's in good shape. Nice. Okay, Stephen made it, yay. Tandem windsurfing. What? Stephen has been out on a tandem windsurf board, as you would. Very nice too, I'm sure. Okay, scrolling back. Okay, we've got Just Zoop. Oh, what sort of a question is this? Is a Nacra 15 show us your cat worthy? Yes, it is. We've only had one Nacra 15 featured on Show Us Your Cat, and there weren't so many pictures of it. So if you've got a Nacra 15, take a lot of photographs, send them in with some details, and it would be a great pleasure to feature that that bad boy on Show Us Your Cat, because it is, of course, the new youth boat to feed the talent into the Nacra 17 Olympic class. So yes, let's have it. All right. Scrolling back. We've got Will. Noticed on your FX1 Speed Challenge, your dagger boards, we kept, they were up, yes. Yeah, yes, and yes to that. So the reason in that wind why I keep the dagger boards up the whole time is because sailing on a beam to broad reach, you definitely don't want to have the dagger boards down, because what that is doing is giving you too much lift, and that lift is just going to result in the boat wanting to kind of rear up and fly a hull a lot more. And if you've got more lift than you need, then that is going to create more drag. Too much lift equals more drag. Does that make any sense at all? I think so. Another reason why you have to have them up is because if you go beam reaching in the big wind on such a boat with the boards down, you could break the boards as well. But in a nutshell, you don't want to have them down if you're sailing on anything than an upwind course. On the FX1, even on an upwind course, if it was blowing like that, it'd still have them lifted about yay, just to reduce the pressure coming from underneath the boat there. So that's why sailing with the dagger boards up all the time. When I go out tiger sailing here in the afternoons, I'll just keep the dagger boards up the whole time, because unless we're racing in the strong wind, there's absolutely no reason to put the dagger boards all the way down on the upwind, unless perhaps you're sailing upwind to go somewhere and you want to get there as quickly as possible. But if you're just noodling around like we do, no need. Thanks for the question there, Will. Nice. Scrolling back, as you could probably guess. Matt T, have you ever sailed a topper? Could you give me some tips like, sorry, but unfortunately my topper sailing tips are not in the catalogue. I sailed a topper once, and that was probably over 30 years ago. I remember it being great fun, but at the time I was very young. So I can't really add to any topper sailing tips than that. So sorry about that. Okay, James, can you tell us what VIXEO program you use? Now James, would that be what video editing program? If it's video editing, I'm using now Davinci Resolve, which has turned out to be really, really good. I was using Final Cut before then, but then I had to change my computer because the old one died. And with the new computer came new operating system, which my version of Final Cut, which cost a load of money, wasn't compatible with, and I was going to have to spend another £300 on the new version of Final Cut, whereas Davinci Resolve, which is a completely professional video editing suite, is free of charge to anyone. Now, if you didn't know this and you're looking for a bit of video editing software, Davinci Resolve, the reason they do it for free, I read into this because I was interested, is because the company who makes the software also makes cameras, and what they're doing is they're hooking you in to their brand through the software. So then if you're about to spend £10,000 on a movie making video camera, you're more likely to buy their camera. That's why they're doing it for free. But it is really, really, really good. It is a little bit intimidating when you look at it for the first time. So I just, as you would, I just looked at a few YouTube tutorials for how to use it and then made some videos immediately after watching those tutorials, or even during, and then we're off. And you can use it in quite a simple way, or you can take it all the way and do some really baffling stuff, which I haven't yet started doing. Maybe in the winter I'll have a bit more of a look. Thank you, James. Good question. Okay, Tom says, why no jib on the FX1? Well, I tell you what, if I had have had a jib on it yesterday, which is when I filmed that film, I reckon could have maybe squeezed a bit more speed out of it. But as a single-handed boat, which is how we're using it here, for the class racing kind of way, it would be mainsail and spinnaker. That is how the boat is designed. And then the jib is there if you want to sail it as a double-handed boat. But of course, the jib could be used if you're using it as a single-handed boat, but you just want some more flavour in the lighter wind. But certainly yesterday, I was quite happy not to have the jib. And that particular boat I was sailing yesterday had no spinnaker on it as well. So it really was, maybe that was what was holding back from the 20 knots, was having all the windage of the spinnaker kit slowing the boat down. So no spinnaker kit. The boat is, of course, quite a bit lighter, probably a good, I don't know, 8 kilos lighter, something like that. And all the windage of the pole, the chute, even the spinnaker halyard up the mast is going to give more windage. So getting rid of that windage might have helped to make the boat go faster. Thanks for the question. I liked it. All right. Johannes, I live in Munich, south of Germany. Do you know any good spots to sail in the area? Oh, there's been a lot of sailing from that area, but I'm sure that In fact, Stefan, who's here at the moment, he is a Munich-based Hobie Tiger sailor, so I can find out from him where it is that he sails. But I think there's a lot of sailing that goes on in Bavaria. I think a lot of people just nip down to Lake Garda if they fancy a bit of the good stuff at the weekend. Yeah, so I can't tell you anywhere off the top of my head. Or if you have a look on the global speed stick leaderboard where it says where all of those speeds have come in from, and perhaps there's some lakes on there which are near to you, which would be quite interesting. Thanks for the question. Okay, Javier. Hello, Joe. I've just sailed a Hobie 15, 5 days, no previous experience sailing other than windsurfing. Many years back, Hobie 15 is a great choice to start off with. It's very simple, no boom, skeg hulls make it very easy to handle. I'm considering buying a catamaran mainly for solo sailing. There is a Sprint Dart 15 nearby for a little more than 2,000 euros. Yeah, the Dart 15 is a very good choice as a single-handed catamaran. The one thing that the Dart 15, perhaps which wouldn't tick the Dart 15 box, is that the boat is a bit more fragile. The skeg hulls, like the bottom of the keel, where it goes like that and then kind of goes like that, and then there's the hull goes up, drawing with my fingers. The keel or the skeg on the Dart 15, same as the Dart 18, is quite fragile. Like if you let that touch the floor, unless it's sand or perhaps grass or a soft surface, can get damaged. So you just have to be a bit more careful on land with the Dart 15. But it's really light, and it's a really great fun boat to sail. So I'd say it's a great boat to sail as long as you can handle having something that is a little bit more fragile. Otherwise, something like the Dart 16, the Hobie 15, the Hobie, what is it? I can't remember all the plastic boats, but a plastic one is a much more durable choice. Just Zoop. I'll be doing that and got some footage of my youth training at Belgium. Can I send that over to you? Yes. If you basically look in any of the videos, look in the description of the video, and there's an email address there where you can send stuff into. It is totaljoyrider@icloud.com, and get those pictures over. Thank you very much. Stephen, we're working on how to tow a hydrofoil board off the back of a Hobie 16. Yes, firstly, what we made was a towing bridle to attach the tow line to the back of the Hobie 16, and that I basically tied off round the rear pylons, so it came into the middle, fairly close to the boat, but so it definitely wouldn't interfere with the rudders. And then I can't remember how long the tow line was, but it was a standard wakeboarding length tow line. And then we just got the tow line tight with the rider in position, and then basically let off all the main, quite a lot of wind, let off all the main, pulled the jib on hard to try to get the boat to bear away. And then at the same time, the rider of the foil board started kind of pumping against the foil. I chose quite a lightweight rider for the foil board. I think he must only be about 65 kilos. And he was pumping the foil to get it out of the water just against the pull in the line. And then by having a skilled rider, that meant he could pop it out of the water. And as soon as he was foiling, it really did feel like there was nothing there. And we were off. There we go. That is the only tips that I've got. Have a good lightweight rider getting dragged behind your boat. Oh, okay, we're just coming up to 45 minutes. That means ease back on the questions, because I have got to tie this up in a short time. All right. We've got Steve. Let's help push JB past 15,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, Steve. That's very kind. Yeah, if there's anybody that you know, or if there's any forums or anything you go on, do put the word out about Joyrider TV. Get people involved. Get more people sending in stuff for Show Us Your Cat, entering the speed stick, things like that. And it all helps. So thanks very much to everybody who's been spreading the word, because it all helps. And as well as, of course, making this fantastic content, which I do. It's also quite a fun challenge to try to notch up the number of subscribers and overall video views. I think last week I just went past 4 million video views, which I thought was never something I was going to achieve. To ever have even 1 million of anything, you know, that's something that is unbelievable to most people, myself included. So to have 4 million units of views was massive. So thanks very much, Steve. Johanna's okay, I'll look into it. James in Michigan, USA, nice to have you with us here, James. Advice on handling heavy waves. It's quite a big question. Yeah, I think because I don't get a lot of waves to sail in here, so it's not something that is in the forefront of the central processing unit of Joyrider TV at this time. But if I may, I'm going to give that some more thought, because that's quite a broad question as well. Because of course you've got launching, then upwind sailing, reaching, downwind sailing, landing, everything like that. But if we just start off with the launching with heavy waves, look at the area where you're going out sailing from and choose the area where the waves are the least heavy and perhaps not breaking to launch. Because if you launch and immediately you're sailing out through breaking waves, Hawaiian style, if you're not completely in control of your boat at that time, the wave could push you back, perhaps breaking your rudders, or if you were to capsize in breaking waves, then there's a strong chance that you could either bend or break your mast, which would be a really terrible occurrence. So that is just one thing. But yeah, I'll give that some more thought and I'll come back to that in the coming weeks, if I may. Okay. James says lake waves are more closely spaced than ocean swells. Yeah, this chop, this kind of steep chop that you get on a lake, because the waves haven't had such a lot of space to gather. So that would be in a high wind on a lake or in an area like we have. Then you just have to trim the boat accordingly, 2 to 4 foot waves. Trim the boat accordingly so you're not going to stick the nose in. So you might be wanting to trapeze a little bit further back than you would do on flat water. And definitely make sure you're secure. Perhaps fit a chicken line to your boat. That's a rope that is attached to the back of the boat. I'm doing a video on this at the moment, actually, so that you have got something solid to hold on to so you can be more secure. Definitely come in off the trapeze before initiating attack, so you're less likely to fall over as you come in if it's late, that kind of thing. Okay. All right, scrolling back. Hi, Panos. Nice to have you with us as always. You must be almost about to be coming back. Looking forward to seeing you again, of course. That's Panos, who was on the video called 220 kilos joyride or something like that, proving that big guys can sail Hobie 16s fast. Sean, there is a giant ship moving behind you. What is that? Yeah, I think it's not there anymore. There's just a few moored yachts at the moment, but we get all sorts coming in here. We get some absolutely massive sort of power boats coming in and all sorts. Hi, Christian. Nice to have you on board. Hello, Jeff. Didn't get the notification. Sorry about that. Yeah, if you are subscribing to Joyrider TV, on all the videos, there's a little bell next to the subscribe button. If you hit that bell icon, that means you will get a notification, like an email, every time a new video goes up. So if you really want to stay tuned to what I'm doing, then hit the bell. Sorry, Jeff, you've been missing out here. There's been some solid gold. Thanks very much. All right, here we go. Here's Jeff with a question. What would make a Hobie 17 unable to go upwind at all? Rudder configuration, dagger boards not down enough, mast rake too far back. Okay, yeah, it's been a while since we've had a Hobie 17. I think first, yeah, make sure the dagger boards are coming down enough. They're the spring-loaded dagger boards on the 17, centre boards we should call them really, and they should be sticking out, what's that, about just over a foot out of the bottom of the boat. So if they're not coming out of the bottom of the boat enough, then the boat isn't going to be able to sail upwind. The next one is look at where the mast rake is. When you go sailing on the boat, are the rudders feeling heavy or are they feeling very, very light? In what way will the boat not sail upwind? If you pull the mainsail up and point it in the direction of close hauled, what happens? Does it just stop? The Hobie 17, especially if you're just sailing with the mainsail, is a bit of a witch for stalling like the Hobie 14. So you might have to weather vanes even against full rudder. Okay, so yeah, it's because it is a lot like the 14, so it's very sensitive to what you're doing with the mainsail as well. So don't try to sheet the main in until you've got the boat moving. Even have the main sheet loose, the traveller released to get going. If it's light winds and that's not working, then go to the leeward side at the back to get the boat to bear away from the wind to get going. Then once you've got a bit of grip with the rudders and you're moving forwards, then start to really gently tease in the traveller, then start to tease in the main sheet, just being aware of that feeling on the rudders the whole time. And if at any point you feel that you're having to pull the rudders and it's not having any effect, then you're probably trying to do a little bit too much too soon. Of course, if you haven't got a jib as well, make sure you have got some sort of wind indicators on the boat. And as a general starting point for your upwind sailing apparent wind angle, you want to have those wind indicators hitting you at about 45 degrees as a rough starting point. Hopefully, something that I just said might be of some sort of use. So let me know how you get on. Perhaps a bit of video, Jeff, of the 17 in action. Or I think I am going to have to come to, I think it's Greensboro. Anything from you today, Rick? Okay, here is Ricky Nielsen, fresh from the Wildwind Beach after a tough day.
Well, yeah, it's been very windy today. We had some 25 right up to 30 at the back of the area. We've got a few bits of broken equipment. One of the masts fell down, radial got nailed, but we've had a lot of racing today. We've got some great scores on the September speed stick. 22.92 I think on the Pacific. A lot of the staff having a lot of joy today. The 29 was out, the RS 500 was flying. Yeah, it was good. Everyone's happy, but yeah, a bit of broken kit. It's not ideal, but there's always tomorrow, even bigger forecast tomorrow, so we shall see.
Thanks, Rick. That's of course one of the main players out here, Ricky Nielsen, as he's known. Big Burnley football supporter. If anybody likes the Burnley football team, then Rick is on your side. All right. All right. So no more questions, please, because I've come to the end of the time that I've got available to spend today. Yeah, I think also, Jeff, just to finish off with the 17, if you think it's a configuration issue rather than the actual sailing of the boat, I believe there is a resource on the internet that is from Hobie Cat, where it's got the tuning guides for all of the different types of boat. Oh my goodness, yeah, that would do it. Okay, so yeah, there's tuning guides on the internet though. I'll see if I can fish out a link and send it to you, where there should be like how much mast rate you should have on your 17 or that sort of thing. But what Jeff has just said is he had Hobie 16 rudder blades on it, and the problem with that is the 17 uses the same rudder stock as the Hobie 18, which is the same as the Hobie Tiger, Hobie Pacific, Hobie 20, Hobie 15, whereas the 16 rudder blades will only work on the Hobie 14, the 16 and the Dragoon. Anything else, the holes are in the wrong place, which means it's actually impossible for the rudders to lock down correctly. So I would say that is where your problem is coming from initially. All right, so I'm just finishing off now. Thanks for all your questions today, by the way. We've got the Kilo 64. I'm looking for a Hobie to make my daughters 15 and 18 learn a bit about sailing, but I'm new with small cats. I have a 16. What? Oh, in the area. Yeah, go for the Hobie 16 every time. Start off simple before you start going into something too complex. But with the 16, you will get far better returns more quickly there than choosing something more complex, which also with those bigger boats, you don't get the feeling of speed quite as much as you do with the 16, even in light winds. Okay, so just I'm just finishing off now. Will asks, on a future video, can you talk about what training or courses you run? Doesn't seem to be much on your website. What? Okay, get the website updated, but yes, certainly do that. By the way, Lake Michigan, almost half the size of Greece. Yeah, to be honest, since I started doing shows, I've learnt more about American geography than I've ever known. So thanks to everybody for getting involved with Shows Your Cat. We've got Matthew, loving what you're doing, Dallas, Texas. Nice to have you on board, Matthew. Hopefully all this is helping in some way. Jerome is aboard. Nice to have you aboard there, Jerome. Okay, what do you think of toppers? Yeah, we talked about this earlier. I sailed a topper maybe about 30 years ago and I thought it was good fun. And there's still racing fleets, which if any type of boat, if there's a racing fleet, it's definitely worthy. Doesn't matter what type of boat. If you live somewhere and all you've got near to you is a very small lake, but there happens to be an active fleet of perhaps not even particularly exciting looking boats, but they race regularly, then get that type of boat and get involved in that racing. Class racing is so much fun, so good for your sailing, worth getting into. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to sign off there. Thank you, everybody, for your very exciting questions. This is what I've been sitting on bad boy. No, that's not bad boy 94, that's bad boy 94. This is the Tornado that we call the school bus. Please give this broadcast a like before you log off. Other than that, be back next Wednesday, Jeff, at 5:30 Greek time, whatever that is for you, as standard, so you can set your alarm clock. Casper, goodbye to LA. Nice to have LA on board. Yeah, so there we go. And there'll be more exciting stuff coming up every day from the speed stick. In fact, I'm just going to leave you with the leaderboard of the speed stick, because it's a September speed stick here. All right, see you, Johannes. Yeah, check out the global leaderboard for places to go sailing near Munich. But here is the speed stick here. Cheers, Kush. This is all speed in knots that we've had so far. That's the video. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. Cheers, Jeff. Nice one. And there we go. There's some Pretender at the top. We're going to see if I can smash that tomorrow. Okay,